what you said as well, kind of things, the energy changes when you think about what you can give versus what you can get. So how does that apply to coaches and their mindset going into a coaching session?
I felt lucky to I felt very lucky to have clients, and for a couple of reasons. One, early on, I gave a presentation. It was really poor, but I still got a client from that presentation. And that one client, I felt like when I was when I was coaching and delivering coaching, it definitely felt to me like I was being able to provide a similar experience of insight, of excitement, of hope, of learning that I experienced as a client as well. So that that feeling each client session was so motivating for me to do it again. And I I realized very quickly that if I wanted to make this happen, I needed to be able to be financially sustainable. But the idea of asking for money, I mean, a lot of times the people who have the heart to help in coaching in this way, like we'll call it the romantic side of us, the side of us that wants to help humanity. That doesn't often go well with like we'll call it the science part or the business part, the logistical part. And while at the same time I was establishing my coaching practice, I got involved in Southern Oregon to try to bring a food co-op to Southern Oregon, to Medford, where we were living. And there was one in Ashland, and I got involved in this. And I was at the same time building my coaching practice and figuring out all these things and reading all these business books. And we brought in a consultant who looked at the six of us trying to establish this food co-op in Southern Oregon. He said, "This is not going to work. Basically, you have six romantics, and there's no one in the there's no one here operating this who is going to think and roll up their sleeves like a business person. We're all just dreaming." And I think a lot of coaches, when they get into in any entrepreneur, there has to be an element of dreaming. There has to be a dream, a vision, something that we're going for. For me, it's every teacher trained as an academic life coach, and eventually every student receiving this is part of your like human basic training. Like every human being has human basic training. The executive world is really, I feel like, is a driver of coaching. So is wellness. Like there's a coaching ecosystem here. So all of this was happening in Southern Oregon. I was in this world of all these ideas swirling around in business wise, and then I realized if I want to make it as a coach, if I'm really after this large vision of societal change, what are the steps in between? Like what does this look like on a macro level? Then what does it look like on a micro level? And what's the bridge between those two? I used a lot of what I learned from Latin and from teaching to think of, to basically parse it out and to think, okay, if this were a grammar problem, what's the noun? What's the verb? How do they match? What's it look like? What's the gerundive? All these things. It was literally like a mess trying to figure out how this could fit together, what that bridge between the two might look like. But what became very clear is that I needed to make sure that I could establish myself, and financially, and from this position, you as a coach, taking doing the emotional work of taking those steps to build your coaching practice, it's not for your sake. You're becoming financially sustainable for the sake of the mission, for the sake of the field, for the sake of humanity. Like humanity needs financially sustainable coaches in order to cultivate this expertise so that we as human beings have coaching capacity. So from this perspective, it's almost as if you've received this training, if you know this, it's not enough for you to say, okay, like I need to, I want to build my coaching practice for me. That is a part of it. On a larger level, it's you almost have a responsibility to be financially sustainable in order to continue doing this work. in that, I felt it, and I felt I had a responsibility to hug that romantic self and also develop that business self, the self that is like, can package something in a way that people will like and appreciate. And I mean, I have whole ideas on this, but I mean, that shift is fundamental. And it's also like, look what, like, let's say every single, it can go on. But let's say every single person, like, what we're really competing against as coaches, we're not competing against other coaches. We're really competing against indifference, where there are way more people in the world than we could ever possibly coach. I mean, you really can only have maybe 40, 50 people in your full-time client base, and that's it. You're only after 40, 50 people. So from that standpoint, it's as much as you can network, help other coaches find clients, just promote the field of coaching, and you will get clients. And that's essentially what I did.
And there's that abundance mindset right there, isn't it? Often new coaches, I do hear, that challenge of fear of charging, or I hear a lot, I would do this for free from people, which is fantastic. And yet it kind of speaks to what you're saying here, this responsibility of also bringing coaching out there, this real tangible thing into the world.